let's get started. I do like to try to start as much on time as possible. When you start meetings late, then everybody starts thinking. Jim, did you want to kick us off?
I'll just say a few things, Jen. And again, thanks everybody for joining today's webinar on retention and recruitment, something that I know is top of mind for folks across the state. So pleased to have Jenn David Lang, the author of The Main Idea, which of course we provide as a subscription to AWSA members. We so appreciate, our members so appreciate The Main Idea and Jenn's work. Jenn's been in education over 25 years, both as a teacher and an administrator before founding The Main Idea back in 2007. So again, very appreciative of her taking the next hour to spend time on this very important subject. And again, Jenn is it's going to be interactive. It's going to be fast paced, and it's going to be interesting. And Jenn, thanks so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thanks for that warm welcome. I really appreciate AWSA hosting us and having me here. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Jim. You know, it takes work on their part to arrange these things too. So thank you to you. We're just going to, well, first of all, I always say when you're in these sessions, pretend you've got two hats. One is you're yourself, whatever learning that you are taking in, but also everything I do, you can do back at your school or your district. You could do this very same session with a leadership team or people who are responsible for recruitment and really retention, which I think is they're all leaders. So starting with this intro. So I'm just going to check in and see how everyone is feeling. I'm going to use this mood meter, which comes out of the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, and it's a little bit fuzzy, but I'm going to ask if in the chat, if people could pick two words, and here, maybe if I make it a little bigger, it's still going to be fuzzy. In the chat, could you share two words that describe how you're feeling right now? They can be contradictory, they can be in sync, whatever you want, but two words that describe how you're feeling right now in the chat. Could be related to this topic that we are about to embark on, could be just in general. Excellent. We've got some easygoing, cheerful, fatigued but calm. I like that. Tired and anxious. I don't know if that anxiety is about this topic that we have. Blessed and optimistic. Wonderful. Positive, thoughtful. Yeah. Tim, I'm with you. I'm feeling a little positive and thoughtful too. There's a lot of strategies come out of this session. But this is a good tool to check in because sometimes you're about to do a session with your teachers or your leaders and you kind of don't really know where people are. And there are funny ones. I promised Jim I would show. There's, you know, different kinds of, which is the one I was going to do the peanuts one here. So what you could ask people to do is say, you know, share a number from here that expresses how you feel, right? You know, Snoopy's looking angry. Charlie Brown in number 4 is looking frustrated. I know there's different ways to check in and sort of see how people feel before you get into the topic. So as Jim said, I run The Main Idea. My name is Jenn David Lang. Every month I was a teacher and administrator for a while, and now I really support school and district leaders. So I realize leaders don't have enough time to do all the reading, the professional reading they'd like to do. So I summarize one education or leadership book a month, and you all get a free subscription to this. I've also summarized over 150 books so far, so you can go into the archives. If there's a certain topic you're looking for, you can search on the topic. I provide other goodies too, like was it 2 months ago, I did a book about burnout, and then I also provided a free PowerPoint that I created, so you could take that and use that with your staff. When I'm not doing that, I run online groups called masterminds, which are district and school leaders from across the country. And we do professional learning like today. These are small groups of 10 to 15 people. We do professional learning, and it's also like a support group, feedback, coaching, that kind of thing. So that is me and what I do. And today we are going to be talking about what we can do to prepare for, prevent, admit that we are in a part of the great resignation. So I don't mean to be pessimistic, but I am seeing that I think the first year of the pandemic, 2020 to 2021, we lost a lot of kids, whether they went to homeschooling, private school, even had to work for their families. We lost a lot of kids, at least we did here in New York. And then I think the second year, 21, 22, the one we're just finishing, we have found that we're losing a lot of educators. So there've been all different kinds of numbers from, an alarming 55% of educators are ready to leave the profession. I read one scary article in the Wall Street Journal, New Jobs for Burned Out Teachers Mean Learning the Rules of the Corporate World, that a lot of for-profits knew how vulnerable and burnt out teachers were and started recruiting them. So a lot of teachers are looking at a salary that's higher without all the, the fuss of the grading and the testing, and they jump ship. So, so it's upsetting, but we are losing a lot of educators. We do lose a lot every year. So I don't know for you if it is much worse or if it's better, but this is what I'm seeing. So I'm curious to see where you all are with the Great Resignation. It's one thing to read in the media, but they often exaggerate things. So I'm just going to do a quick poll to ask you, how big of a concern is the Great Resignation for you right now, losing both teachers and leaders? So it's a continuum from 1 to 5. Scroll down if you can't see the 5.
I don't see the poll on my screen. Are other people seeing the poll all right? Good. So it's just a Jim issue, which is not surprising.
All right, but I'm going to share the results, Jim, but maybe it's
wonderful.
Maybe you're still a co-host or something. Got about half of the people. All right, anybody else want to answer? I will assume we're missing people. Oh, maybe they're not here. Let's see. Okay, let's take a look. Let's share the results. Can you see them now, Jim? I shared them. Oh, you're on mute, Jim.
No, but I'll catch up if we don't share them.
Well, I will just basically paint it for you. So we don't have anyone who's a number one. We're not at all. We're fully staffed and confident. And we don't have anyone who is, extremely concerned. So everybody was a 2.
We had a English position open, high school English. We got 2 applicants. One was from across the pond per se, and put in there that they had investigated how to do the visa, the whole visa thing. And then the other one, I called for an interview and exchanged pleasantries, and before I got going, she's like, I just have to say I already got a job at Hortonville, Wisconsin. So that she was out. And so we ended up recruiting one of our subs that has a good background. We'll still need to go back and get English credits to get a certification, but has a lot of background in education. So it's definitely a small school, a big concern, and we're getting more and more teachers that are not coming to us with the actual certifications.
Thank you, Gary. So it sounds like on your end, it's not just the bleeding of teachers, but you're talking about the numbers that are out there that are looking for jobs. That's sounding a bit scarce for you. Thank you for sharing that, Gary. Is one more person want to just share why you chose the number you did in the Zoom poll?
This is Kate. I think, it's a similar situation. We're a little bit bigger district, but we're struggling to fill jobs, especially in different licensure areas, family and consumer science, some tech ed positions, trying to restructure things within the licensure structure. So similar And we have the challenge of recruiting against the state of Minnesota in our community. So it's a different ball game. We're also pretty isolated from other larger districts in the state of Wisconsin. So
Geography plays a role too. Yeah, that always happens. Probably completely unrelatable to all of you, but I'm in New York City, and when a school is closer to a subway, they have more applicants than if they're really far away. And yeah, everyone uses public transportation, so you have to like take a subway, then a bus, and then walk. But yeah, all kinds of geography comes into play, as well as, you know, what types of certification you're looking for. Yeah. Anyone else facing particular struggles you want to share? Okay, so we will jump in. We are going to do something I think many educators know about, which is called the jigsaw of reading, which is I've got a 2-page document that I put together. One side is about retention. So a big part of losing teachers is how do you try to not lose the retention? And the other part is mostly focused on recruitment, with a little piece at the end about reconceptualizing. So there's retention and recruitment. So I know some of you don't have your cameras on, but I just want to make sure we have a somewhat even split of who's reading what. I'm going to have everyone read one side. So if you could either raise a 1 or 2, or you can put it in the chat. Are you interested in reading 1 about retention? And then we're going to share later, and you'll obviously have a document. Or do you want to read 2 recruitment? So put up a 1 if you'd like to read the retention side, and a 2 for the recruitment. And we'll put it in the chat. What other people say? What do they say? So we have, okay, we have a good enough split. Okay, so here's the 2-pager. So what we're going to do is a live read. If you've ever asked teachers or leaders to read an article or a chapter before a meeting, and then you have your meeting and they don't read it, that happens. That's life. So that's why I love the live read. So what we're going to do is just take about, 5-6 minutes now to read your side. This is the 2-pager. Let me know if you can't get in. And then we're going to discuss it in one of 2 groups. So let me know if anyone's having trouble. Side 1 is retention, side 2 is recruitment. Just take about 30 more seconds, and then we're going to break into 2 groups. Okay, so Katie was going to set up 2 breakout groups, and you choose to go to the one that you read about. So if you read 1, retention, go to retention. And then I will be leading that discussion. Jim's going to lead number 2, recruitment. And then Jim and I, we will share back some ideas. Katie, do you have those groups?
I do. I did just launch them. Do people see the choices?
Yep, I see it.
Okay.
And then are these timed?
Let's do this for about 10 minutes, Jim. Does that sound good? 10, 11 minutes?
So I'll just move it over here in case we.
Sorry, cut off. PK was right in the middle of talking.
Need a body in the room, so
We're talking on the retention side, and one of the suggestions is try to reduce what's on teachers' plates. And so PK was in the middle of saying, that's something teachers said, right? Why are we always tapped to do coverages? And he said he only had 2 subs on his list this year, which I know is common for a lot of people, that he himself was doing some coverage. So how did you address that concern that everybody was complaining about the subs? PK, did you want to finish what you were saying, or?
well, what I did was, I would put out a sign-up sheet and people would voluntarily give up their prep. They got paid for it. And one of the things our Board of Education did was up the sub pay when teachers gave up their prep time. So it became a little bit better, but it didn't take the burden off of them. It just kind of compensated them a little more for giving up their time. But that's been a struggle in our district for the last couple of years.
I think that adding that element of choice, right? Even if you had tapped a certain teacher to do the coverage versus the teacher saying, I opt in to choose to do it. I think that's a really brilliant move. It's just adding that. Or even, it's a difficult thing. How do you reduce what's on teachers' plates? Sometimes you really can't, but even just to have 10 minutes of a staff meeting where you ask them, right? If you could wave a magic wand and take something off of your plate that doesn't affect student learning or student well-being, what would it be? Right? Just to hear them say, lunch coverages, bus duty, let them get it out. Even if you say, I wish I could too. I don't know what I would do. We can't have no adults on the bus, or we can't have lunch in the cafeteria, but just to hear them, I think is a start. So sorry, we started in, I guess, Jim will go first and then you go. So anyone else in the retention room? So the other people read recruitment, what would you like them to know about what we discussed? Andrea, do you want to start with the thing that stood out for you about the stay interviews?
Yeah, I just brought up the importance of the stay interviews, and Lisa added a good comment too about we all kind of informally do them where we're checking in with people, but just making it a little bit more structured, or taking those notes down and just talking to people throughout the year. We often forget, people seem to be doing well, but just those check-ins and just having a little bit more of a process to it and what's going well and to keep you in that organization because we often just do the exit or like the beginning hurrah in August, and just the importance of people feeling heard and valued throughout the year too.
Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, and Lisa added to that that she informally does check in all the time, and I'm sure a lot of you do, but even just to do something more, take it to that formal step of like, we're having a meeting about next year. Yeah, hopefully earlier in the year than June, but you could even do it in June. But, you know, are you staying? Are you coming back? And if not, is there anything I can do to help? And whether that's giving them a prep at the end of the day or letting them lead professional learning with you because they need some more leadership opportunities, or, you know, they want to challenge, they want to teach a different grade or a different subject. But to really just ask them, like, what will it take to get you to stay? You know, almost a page from the corporate world, but actually just asking, obviously for those who are strong and you want to stay. And then Kate, you were talking about, so that's one thing, right, to ask that, but then Kate, you were talking about the, like the longer term, what it would involve. Or is Kate gone? Kate is, oh, there you are. Sorry, go ahead, Kate. Yeah, talk about what else in addition to the stay interviews would help with retention.
Yeah, I think just the continued, like we were talking about, sustaining that and not having it be a one-time, like, okay, we checked in and you're all good and we did these things, but it's the, if you're referencing the article, the part C, kind of the longer term efforts to retain, and the soft skills, the culture, creating space for the staff in general. I think so much power can come from sustaining that emotional connection to the why of what was above, like why people are doing the work they're doing, and reminding people of the why and that we're in this together. It's hard. What can we do to support each other and not have it be where the principal's the only one with the answers either? I think sometimes can be powerful. So kind of that staff culture and how important that is in continuing on.
Yeah, and that's much harder, right? To build the culture over time, a culture of listening and trust and respect. I'm going to give you all a great activity to do for your back to school in whenever you all go back to school, late August, early September. Ask your teachers and your leaders to come in and bring an artifact that represents why they entered the field of education to begin with. And people come in with, like, you know, a photo of their first grade teacher or a story of their mom who was also a principal, or, you know, and it reminds them why they're here. Because we just went through 2 very difficult years and we get lost in the masks and the virtual and the, you know, but like, why are you here? And so to be able to reconnect them to their purpose before you get into the handbook and all that is just a really powerful activity. And, you know, it goes to what Kate was saying about like the relationships. I mean, I don't know about you, but the people I know who are my age, who have been teaching in the same school for 20 or 30 years, it's because the colleagues are amazing. You know, they tell you, oh yeah, I eat lunch with my 6th grade team and we plan, and, you know, oh yeah, I see them on Saturday mornings for a run too, you know. Like, you're not going to stay in a school for 20 or 30 years if you don't have great relationships, and particularly the adults, right? You might have them with the kids come and go, but the adults stay. So how about you, Jim? Do you have a couple of things you want to pull out from the recruitment side for us retention people?
Yeah, I'll pull out a couple of things, and then please, everybody let me know what I missed. So a couple of things came up in terms of things that resonated with folks in the article. So, you know, one of the folks in our group was talking about their district is looking at housing and what they could do in the community to make housing affordable for educators. Somebody else is looking at, you know, could we offer childcare as a benefit for staff as a great incentive. One of the things in the article that resonated with folks is remembering all through the hiring process the opportunity to market the cool things about your culture, like in all things. And so that resonated with folks in terms of, you know, developing like a one-pager, friendly one-pager that talks about the culture of the school for everybody that comes in, things with our school's websites, etc. One of the things in the article that was interesting is it said, you know, because most of the research out there talks about how educators typically are from where they grew up. And so when you read the literature on attracting people, A lot of it focuses on the research, but this article says 17% of educators say they'll go anywhere. And so that resonated with folks. And from a state perspective, like to me, because it is probably a little tricky for 420, districts in the state of Wisconsin to each sort of post things on, those national websites. Because for those of us that have to use those websites for things, I don't care what the commercials say, you get a ton of people that don't in any way match what you're. But if the state of Wisconsin put a national marketing campaign together that fed people into our state job sites, that was an interesting idea. Underscored, the importance of having relationships with universities. Somebody in our group talked about one thing that they're implementing next year is for their when somebody finishes student teaching in their district, they're going to be guaranteed 5 sub days. So just again, different ideas like that of again getting a stickier, stronger relationship with our higher ed and our preparation programs. So anyway, so those were some of the things that stood out to me. Group, did I miss anything?
Great. I think those are great ideas. And I think, when you hear about all that there is to do, first of all, it's often a shock to us that, yes, we have to do marketing, even in schools. I don't think any of us went into this field because we thought we were doing marketing, but we do. And also that it's year round, right? It's not like the recruiting starts April 1 or whenever, or June 1, it's really a year round thing. And when you add the retention as the other side of the coin, it really is year round. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to capture some of these ideas and additional ones on a Jamboard. Raise your hand if you've used a Jamboard before. Everybody. I'm going to put a link to it. And when you open it, there are, I guess I could share my screen also if you're not there. There are 2 pages on this Jamboard. So you see at the top, it says retention, that's one side. And then if you look at the very top, there's 2 arrows. This is page 1 of 2. Next one is recruitment. And so if we could use the sticky notes, which on the left under the black circle with the white arrow, click on it and you hover, it says sticky note. You can pick whatever color you want. You write your message, you write your idea, and you hit return. So what we're trying to do is gather ideas on retention and recruitment, both from this 2-pager and from your own experience or anything you thought of. And we can send this out afterwards. But yeah, let's just spend a few minutes thinking of some ideas that we liked from these 2. A lot of really great ideas.
Everybody's doing a good job of using the full color palette with the sticky notes too. Well done.
What happened as you were putting the door in? We went to lunch.
Hey, we chased one out. We chased one out.
Who did?
Byron guys and I. Not out of here.
Oh.
It was through the office.
You chased it down the hallway?
Out the shop door. And out the shop door.
Because roads will run the wall before they run the center of the room.
I don't know if somebody is sharing.
We'll take care of it.
Yeah. If everybody can, if you're done, take a minute and everybody pick one idea that you really like. If we'll just do a quick whip around, see which of these sticky notes people like. We have a quick moment. Take a minute to look. Everyone's looked through it. Anybody wanna, why don't we do this? Why don't we do one whip around? We'll get everybody to say either one thing, either from the Jamboard, from your reading, from the discussion, just one thing that you will take with you. I like to call that the one big thing when you end a meeting. In order to turn it from just learning for learning's sake to like learning something you'll take away, it's nice to sort of take a moment. So take a look at the 2 pages here, the Jamboard, the 2-page reading, the discussion, and if we could maybe go around and just share one thing that that struck you, and we could make it alphabetical. But I'd have to do that really quickly. I think that would put Kale first and Chris second. So why don't we? Oh no, Andrea! I didn't see Andrea. Andrea, do you want to share one thing from the Jamboard or the reading, or what's one thing that you will take from this?
I liked just the comments about like having meaningful PD and just seeing what staff actually are in need of, and then listening to that. So then it helps them to feel valued, and then also to keep growing in their profession.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't think of the connection between PD and retention, but it's huge, right? If you're really meeting teachers' needs and they're learning. Great. Kale, something from the Jamboard or any other takeaway?
Preschool lunch. I saw that one, but I guess a little smirking, but I think about, when I was a teacher, like how much I really appreciated that, like being a young single guy, like I didn't have to pack a lunch. I'm a budgeter. So like that, like save me money, right? That was how my mindset worked. And I think those things that really don't, there's not really a huge hurdle to overcome in order to get that done. Just maybe like some uppity board members, right? But I think something like that goes a long way. I really do.
Go for the low-hanging fruit. I like it. I taught at an international school in Barcelona for 2 years, many years ago, and they do hot lunch there because that's their big meal of the day. So we would eat all this hot food. The teachers got free lunch, and then you're like, how am I going to teach my afternoon classes? But they had the most amazing cappuccino machine. So then you drank your espresso, and then you taught your afternoon classes. Highly recommended, Cal. Okay. How are we doing with alphabetization? Gary, I guess. Oh no, Chris. I skipped Chris. Sorry, Chris. Any takeaways for you?
We like the stay interview. A good reminder to check in with your staff on how they're doing.
I think that's awesome. Yes. Love the stay interview. People have written to me already that it's worked, that they've prevented some teachers from leaving. Gary, are you there? Or he looks like he stepped away. Greg?
I also like the concept of the stay interviews.
Yeah, they can be very powerful. Should definitely be done. Leaders too. Jack, as in Jack Hammer, are you there? I don't know if Jack is there. So we'll go to Kate. Kate, a takeaway for you?
I think there were some really great ideas around just reducing stress and meeting people's needs. And I think you've made a couple of good points about everyone wanting to grow. And I think that's been lost a little bit in the what I have to do versus the fact that we're all learning and growing, and to kind of reset some thinking on what you want to get better at, not just like survival mode. So.
Yeah. Choice and PD. Yeah. What do you want to do? You know, you set the goal for the year. I'll check in with you. So awesome. Lisa, do you want to share something?
Yeah, in addition to what everyone else has said, I think I like the idea of creating some sort of one pager for recruitment purposes. Because there's different places. I mean, where I'm located, there's several universities within the area. It's easy enough to send them out, ask them to get posted wherever, so it might be a good way to do some recruitment that way.
Fantastic. Yeah. Anything you can put on a one pager, I'm all about that. Gary, we skipped you. We're just sharing one thing from the Jamboard, the reading. Any takeaway? Did you want to share one with us?
I like the 1 minute video idea. Why I love school, or why I love my school.
Yeah, that was entered in. I don't know if everybody saw that, but yeah, have a staff meeting. Everybody's young and knows how to use, video, right? Everybody go into a different room and film yourself. What's one reason why you love the school, and start posting on social media. You got to get the good word out there, and who better to do that than your teachers? That is a great one. Thanks, Gary. M. Johns, are you with us?
I am. I like the idea of offering childcare. It can help with both retention and recruitment. I know here we have like a CARES program. So it's like a summer school and before after school care program, and doing some sort of expanding on that would be great and something to think about.
Be a model for schools across the country. It would be so powerful if you figure that out. Do share.
Yeah.
And then I think we have PK and Tim and Jim. I don't know if you have any takeaways, but go ahead, PK.
On the retention side, I thought the childcare as a staff benefit was a great idea. I'm not sure how to accomplish it, but that seems like a great idea. And actually, if I could just add on the recruitment side, I think building partnerships with a local university. We have a good relationship with UWGB, which is only about 12 miles down the road, and they send their teachers here a lot of times for student teaching, and even when they have to do some of their observations during their sophomore block type of thing. So that really helps out with establishing those relationships and hopefully recruiting them later on.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing a retention and a recruitment idea. Tim, did you want to share any idea?
Yeah, and it's funny, Michaela and I work at the same school district, same building, but we're in different offices. but we have the same idea, childcare as well. It's very intriguing to me. I think that's something that would really set us apart. The space was the first thing, and then figuring out financially how we would make that free. But maybe it's not free. Maybe we just say, hey, we offer it, period.
Yeah.
It's and maybe at a reduced rate or whatever would be a benefit, right? Just because they're drop off their kids right here and their way to work. And then secondly, that one-page document was intriguing to me too. We've done things like in the past, but we haven't updated it. But somebody had said they shared that, I think Chris, in their job interview, but I thought even sooner, right? If we're really attracting people, when do they first learn about our district? And that's through the application process. So we could have a one-page like marketing document, telling what sets us apart, and put that with all our postings on Weekend or where, whatever. That's the other thing. Other job boards we need to start branching out to more. I think we've done that in the past, but in that document you had a couple that we had not heard of. So that's those are two things that jumped out at me.
Thank you for sharing. That is great. Yeah, definitely time to look at your websites if you haven't in a while and see what you're communicating about your school. Thanks for joining us late, Jack. We were just sharing a takeaway, so I don't know how late you came in. But if you wanted, if you caught anything, did you just come in right now? Oh, you're on mute, Jack.
You'd think by now I'd learn how to use Zoom, right? About 20 minutes ago, I came in. I was walking around with our contractors and see if we can hustle some carpeting guys along a little bit so we can get back into the office. So,
no worries, not at all. Jim, did you have anything that you wanted to?
I love all the ones the group highlighted, but then I'll come back to it from a state level. The idea of those 17% of folks that are truly mobile, a state strategy to get those folks considering Wisconsin and aware of how you apply for positions in Wisconsin.
That's great. Well, thank you. I'm going to just put this is me, my email, if you want to reach out at all. I know someone asked a question that answered it themselves. Feel free to reach out, follow up. I know how busy everybody is at this time, probably closing things up, and I appreciate everyone taking the hour and really jumping in, diving in, and really doing the work of this session. Thank you, Jim, for taking the recruitment group. And I do hope everybody got a few ideas to walk away with. And so thanks again to AWSA, Jim, Katie, much appreciated. And I hope everybody has a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks, everybody. So good to see you all. Have a wonderful week.